Yes, here we are. Celtic 3, Motherwell 2. I'm joined by Liam, the Punk Duck Warlord. How are you, mate?
I'm good. Up early, full game, sun's out, 3 points. I don't know how we're going to talk this one up. You just said it earlier. I don't know how you feel about this one. So let's see what we think. Let's break it apart.
Yeah, I genuinely have no idea how I feel at the minute. Give us a like, give us a share, pretend you care. If you want to be a Boys on the Bus member, like Jim C, like Scully, then you can do so from $1.99. Doesn't get you any additional contact, just keeps the diesel in the bus. If you want to be notified each time we go live, then hit the bell and keep us in your life that little bit longer. I sent a Liam before we come on there, but about halfway through the second half, I was done. I was terminado. Rodgers out. I was thinking this board have an opportunity to redeem themselves by getting rid of Brendan Rodgers, and I don't know that it's right that I move away from that stance just because we've managed to get the 3 points. But I'm still trying to process everything in my head. And I think we've got the result today, and I'm absolutely over the moon. My overriding feeling is I'm buzzing. And when you get a finish like that, where you get a late goal, albeit it's a game against Motherwell at home, but when you get a late goal, no matter what the opposition is, no matter what the circumstances are, you get a late winner, you're buzzing. You're coming away from the game buzzing. And I just went in there just 2 minutes before we come on, Liam, and I pulled on my hoops and I just said, you know what? I'm proud that my team got the job done today against all the elements, really, against the backdrop of how poor we've been. I think we're being poorly managed. I think the manager's fallen short of our expectations. I feel we got the job done today, despite some dodgy decisions, I would have to say, from him. But the other side of that is he could turn around and go, you know nothing about football, and we got the job done because I made the right decisions. And he's well within his rights to take that stance. But I'm all over the place in terms of how I want to play this, how I really feel, how I feel. I think short-term match reaction, I'm buzzing. I'm delighted to get the points. I'm delighted that we're not 4 points behind Hearts. I watched their game yesterday, I have to say, and that's where we're at the minute, Liam. That's where we're at, where I'm sitting down, and my Saturday night was planned around watching Hearts and Hibs because I wanted to see what they had. I wanted to see what we're up against. I wanted to see what threat they present. And I was disappointed in them. I think they got lucky last night. And I think maybe that's just been evened up a wee bit today because they didn't deserve to get 3 points yesterday. I watched that game. Hibs were slightly the better team. Hearts were poor. But what I will say about Hearts is what they've got at the minute is they've got confidence and they've got momentum. And that momentum is a key ingredient. I keep thinking about Leicester City and the season they had down south, and everybody just kept waiting for the wheels to come off. They haven't played anybody yet. Wait till they play this team. Wait till they play that team. And they just kept going and going and going. And you're going, wait till it gets to the business end and they'll crumble. And they kept going and going and going. And I want this Hearts journey to end quite soon. I don't want it getting into December with them still sitting at the top of the league. I want the wheels to fall off soon and for this to be a little bit more stress-free than it is. But I watched their game yesterday, and I think what they've got as a team in terms of they've got some nice, tidy players. They've got momentum, and I think that's the key thing. And if that keeps up, then we've got a challenge in our hands in terms of Hearts. But in terms of player for player, if we can get our act together, I didn't see anything yesterday that scares me. The only thing that scares me is Celtic ourselves. The only thing that concerns me is can we get the results ourselves?
Right. So give me a couple of points there. That's a lot to unpack, mate. The Hearts winner. Yes, I watched that game as well. By the way, that Hearts-Sibs game, for a 1-0 game, I really enjoyed it as a game of football. You know, as a neutral watching it, or as an observer or critic or whatever, you know why we're watching. I'm looking to see, as you are, are these guys a challenge? I think they both are. Anyway, it was a good advertisement for Scottish football. I enjoy that, better than watching any of the English games. I try to watch now and again, and it's like Clockwork Orange. I have to force myself to watch it, But yeah, and I think our winner today was every bit as good as their winner yesterday. In fact, we'll get back to it later, but Dizan looked like primetime Torres the way he took that header, and horns with it. Going on to Hearts being a threat, I think that everybody's much a threat, and I think we have to look at it that way. And then going into today's game about Rodgers and stuff, I think one of the big things that just exposed today was I don't think you're going to see teams coming to Celtic Park and sitting back anymore. Every team that Motherwell looked like one of the really good, technically drilled teams that we play in Europe. They're just missing a couple of moody Brazilian strikers that somehow got passports for their a third world country. Motherwell, I thought, looked great, and what I was concerned about, and this is where I don't think Rodgers should get off the hook. This is up there with Samaras, and Stokes, saving managers' jobs, late time. Remember, Samaras scored that late one where I think he equalised or beat Aberdeen. Where's McGinley when you need him? Yeah, and I think it was like one of the last minute things, but I thought the football, and we looked really naive against them. For a lot of internationals and players that have played international tournaments and all that, we looked very naive. They had 2 or 3 boys that just sort of seemed to get an understanding with each other, and sort of they kept looking for each other. You could see their passing. I was more impressed with the way they were looking up and finding spots diagonally through the midfield. The way they were coming out and attacking us, even from I think where they're laid back and just challenging and winning balls. Yeah, I think they're about 2 players away from a really good side that could run us. I thought they were really good.
I think they were good. I think we have to give them a bit of credit. I hadn't seen much of them. They kind of become draw specialists, but they had got lots of plaudits for playing an open, attractive brand of football. I had seen them. I think I'd seen maybe the second half of the opening game against Rangers. I was on holiday and I called into a bar and it was on. And I watched the second half of that one and I thought they looked decent. So yeah, I was impressed with them, and the manager that they've got, he seems to be hell bent on playing good football, and it came to their detriment today, where they're trying to do this build up from the 6-yard box from goal kicks, and we'll get to it when we come to when we go through the goals, but ultimately his ideals cost them today, because they basically gave us an equalizer, and it was refreshing for a team not to come in and just sit there and defend and try to get a 0-0, and they'll feel very hard done by that they've left Celtic Park without any points today. Let's kick off then, Liam, with the team lineup. So off the back of a very disappointing game during the week, we were wondering what changes the manager would make. So he's brought Anthony Ralston in at right back.
Hey, Terry, while that's on the screen, why does Cameron Carter-Vickers look like he's a hostage in that photo? Look at him. Is that the mood? Is that the mindset of what we're going out with? If somebody's taking that picture, look at that picture. I don't get that. That's weird. That's, again, you see,
I don't know if they're told to do that, a little bit like the passport one. See when Sky I know this game wasn't on Sky, but when Sky have got the pre-match graphics, the players are always standing there and they're kind of looking mean and moody. So I don't know if they're told or whatever, but yeah,
he looks sad.
He does look miserable. He does look miserable.
It looks sad. It's like sad Keanu. Now we've got a sad Cameron. You know, it's going to be a new disappointed avatar.
It's almost like he's just seen the lineup and he's going, I have to play for these again today.
Well.
Colby Donovan. Again, somebody needs to explain that one to me. Why Ralston's in ahead of him. Carter Vickers and Scales, yeah. Sriracha in for Taylor's an interesting, or not for Taylor, Taylor. For Tierney is an interesting one. Sorry if I scared you there and you thought he was back. Probably on form before today's game. You probably have to say that was maybe the form call. Although there's bits of Sriracha's game that I'm not totally convinced. McGregor keeps his place. Very poor today. Hatate comes in. McCowan gets a start. And you've then got what's probably going to be our front three of choice, certainly between now and the 1st of January. Whenever we can make some kind of changes. Any surprises in there? I would have, if it was me, and again, it would probably prove that I know very little. I'd have changed the goalkeeper. I didn't expect him. I thought maybe 99% sure he was gonna go with Schmeichel. I'm not convinced he won't change it at some stage, but he wasn't going to do it today because that would optically it would just be he's dropping him out because of the other night. So I think he's given that vote of confidence. I
was surprised that McGregor was in the lineup. That was a shock to me. I thought he's looking leggy. He's making mistakes today as well. A lot of mistakes with McGregor. Bad balls, Scales, so surprised.
But were you surprised? Were you surprised?
I'm not surprised.
You would have changed it, but were you really expecting Brendan Rodgers to drop Callum McGregor?
No, I mean, that's what, the first thing I looked at that and go, that's be brave. Come on, man. This is Celtic. It's like Motherwell, we're playing them at home. It's like, that's what I mean. It's just this to control the game and control every aspect of it by just repetition and sameness. When it's, we're seeing it doesn't work. All right, so you're going to outlast us all with your ego when everybody can see something's not working. Yeah, I don't get him. I really don't. His coaching staff, everybody, they're just too deep siloed into these tunnels that they've built for themselves. It's their reality. And it's just, So, I'm surprised they didn't do it because I think that's what an elite level coach probably would have. Maybe that's the answer I should have gave you first.
Okay, so game kicks off. I'd listened to the manager pre-match and he talked about how they talked about the game the other night and today they wanted intensity. And I thought we started quite bright. I thought we had a good chance in the first couple of minutes when McGregor gets into the box. And I was thinking Iheanacho was going to pull the trigger, but McGregor has then nipped in and taken it, and the keeper's pulled off a save. But I thought it was a pretty bright start to the game. And there wasn't really much from that point until we took the lead. Motherwell sort of came into it a little bit, and it kind of then felt that sort of same old performance that we'd seen. Lots of possession, lots of backward passing. The manager had talked the other night about how it's on him and he has to find a way to try and get the team scoring goals. I can give him a little tip. See if you pass it forward. Now and again, you'll have a better chance of scoring goals. You could hear the howls coming from the stands every time the ball went. Not every time the ball went back, because Celtic supporters aren't thick. They don't know nothing about football, and they know that sometimes you have to bring the ball backwards to make it go, to then go forwards again. But it's when the ball comes backwards when there are options available to go forwards. And they're the ones that supporters latch onto. They're the ones you can hear the howls. Whenever there's an opportunity to go and do something creative and try to make something happen, but you take the easy option and you knock it backwards. And I thought in that opening period before we got the goal, I thought the biggest culprit in terms of that was Maida. I thought he had a stall set out from quite early that he was just going to do the easy thing and pass it back inside. And he was knocking balls back to Schmeichel. He was knocking it back for Ralston. And I don't know if we're going to see the Dyson Maida of last season ever again. I fully expect that we won't see him beyond the next couple of months. And I just don't see him getting into that kind of form from last year. I've said a few times, perhaps it was that form of last year that was the outlier, because some of the stuff that we're seeing now is the same as the stuff that we seen when he first joined, where his pace gets him into some decent positions, but all too often what he then does with the ball is of no benefit to us whatsoever. But we'll fast forward to the goal. We get a penalty. Stonewaller for you?
You know, they never showed it much, and we lost the volume the day, so we didn't really hear what it was. Stonewaller, I sort of looked at. I mean, it's funny though. I didn't even know if it was inside the box or not, because we never really seen a replay, but didn't see anybody protesting, so I probably was. You know, those are the ones we see where they get ignored most of the time. So I was actually surprised that he pointed to the spot right away, and then he checked through the VAR. So that made me think, yeah, right away, he's clocked it. He's right beside it, you know.
I'm glad you made that point there, because my stream was the same as yours. There was no commentary on it, and it is the weirdest thing ever. And I thought maybe it was some kind of upgrade that Celtic had brought in, where there's no commentary at all, and you don't have to listen to the voice that are usually there.
It was an upgrade.
But there was nothing, and it was so weird, because all you've got is the noise of the crowd, and you're trying to work out what's going on, and you don't have any commentator kind of giving you any kind of guidance or anything. And I thought it was one of those. I thought it was a lucky penalty from the point of view of the ball was going nowhere, and it wasn't as if the guy stopped a goal or anything like that. Now he's got his arms in the air, and once he hands it with his arms in that position, it's always going to be given. But I think it was a lucky one from us in terms of he was very, very naive with the way that he conceded the penalty. But again, I didn't get any more look at it. I just got the one live look, and that was pretty much it. And you've no guidance from the commentators, and you're just getting the one view at it. But I'm guessing the fact that it's been given, it obviously was a handball, and it looked to me as though Callum McGregor was going to take it, and he done this in the game against Killie. He took the ball and held on to it until virtually the last minute, and then gives it to Iheanacho. I don't know, is this some kind of tactic? Because I at no stage did I think he was going to take it, because he's never stepped up and took any of the big important ones I would like the captain to take. But he held on to it right to the last minute.
Yeah. Well, was he talking to the referee then? Because maybe if he's captain, he wants to, I don't know what he said, but you know, or you know, picking him up for something earlier. I don't know. Maybe
I think he's just taking the pressure off the kicker, because you don't want the kicker holding the ball and starting to think about it and everything. I think he's just holding on to the ball to know definitely what's happening, and then he hands it to the kicker, and he's only got a few seconds to put it down and walk up and take it. I think that would be. I mean, that's all I can think of. But up until the last penalty, he's never really done that before. It seems to be something new.
Maybe we'll bring that into his game. That could be one there we could put in the positive side of Callum McGregor these days. If we're looking for a positive, he does a good handover of the ball.
Okay, so looking for positives, we've got a guy who can take a penalty kick, albeit it's only two. But I didn't have any concerns that the ball wasn't going to end up in the net. See, just the way he took the previous one against Killie, real pressure penalty kick, and he seems to be quite a cool finisher. And if you're going to be a penalty taker, That's one thing that you need. He looks confident, and I know it was a stuttered run up, and I don't like it, but he's probably the player I've had the most confidence in terms of taking a penalty kick. Now, I know rightly what's going to happen. Next game, he's going to miss one, and I'm going to be sitting here going, that's the curse of the Celtic penalty kicks. But there's just an aura about him when he's got the ball. It's just him and the goalkeeper. I was confident that ball was going in the net.
Mate, he's got that gunslinger look about him. All he needs is a black hat, you know. I think he looks sharp. I don't like the stutter step penalty. Drives me nuts. You know, and he does that. It's in his game, but he looks like he's really watching intently what side the keeper's going, and he knows he can put it in whatever way he needs to put it. He's very good. I've seen him. One of the goals as well he scored last week, I think, where he's sort of leaned back and he just sort of hit it by using it like a wedge in the side of his foot and put it right up in the corner. But he really had it. You could just see it, and he had it with power. And he did it with it, raising his leg, like something like 3 inches, boom, just like that. That's a striker. And I think the more he gets up to speed, I think the better he's going to be. I mean, we need a manager right now that knows how to get the ball to these players. Because I think on his day as well, Dyson is a great striker. We've just not figured out how to feed him. Same way Iheanacho, once he gets up to speed as well, we need to figure out so that he's getting the chances all the time in games, that everything's building around his game. You know, use him like Chelsea used to use, you know, Torres and Drogba, you know.
Smells a glove makes a good point. McLean's an impact player once opposition's tired, never a starter. I tend to agree a little bit with that viewpoint. In terms of his Celtic career, he has looked at his best in games where he's come on with half an hour to go and he's been fresh and he's playing against tired legs. When he's had his starting opportunities, and I've wanted him to get starting opportunities because I think his substitute appearances have warranted it, but when he's had starts, he has struggled to make an impact. Now, I don't think he's alone in terms of that. You can look at loads of players. You can look at Negrin for today, for example. You know, he came on and he was a bit hit and miss, but he was very involved in the last 25 minutes, and he was involved in some of the key moments that got us back into the game. But when he started games, he hasn't looked great. You know, some of these guys look better when they're on the bench than they do when they actually get a place in the starting lineup. But we're 1-0 up, Liam, and then I would say about 5 minutes before Motherwell scored, I think we started to look decidedly edgy. There was one moment where I don't know what Sirachi's done, but he's completely ballsed up, and the guys come in from the angle on our left, their right wing, and Kasper Schmeichel, who I was very, very harsh on during the week, makes himself really big and pulls off a really good stop. But it was a warning signal, and I just got the feeling Motherwell were coming into the game, and given how fragile the Celtic team has been mentally, it was no surprise to me whenever they scored within a few minutes. And the nature of the goal was very, very disappointing for me. The guy gets in and gets a header, albeit the ball was very, very low. He gets a header between our two centre backs. Liam Scales is going for the ball with his feet. Carter Vickers isn't going for the ball, and the striker nips in between the two of them, and the ball's in our net. But no shock to me in terms of it's just what we're expecting. And what was your thoughts at that point?
I mean, yeah, so I wasn't surprised to see it sort of coming in a way. What I noted though was, look at their reaction to going a goal down, and then ours. Immediately Schmeichel started shouting at folk. So they were all arguing within there, and I've not seen that in their team in a long time. And I don't know, what do you think of that, Terry? So you see your keeper start shouting at players after a goal like that, and what do? You think that's a good thing? Get them geared up, or do you think it's starting to show a bit of derision and discipline in the ranks?
Was he shouting at the players today after the goal?
Aye. Well, we had no sound.
He was at it during the week. He was at it during the week as well. I mean, my thoughts would be, if I was a player on that pitch and Kasper Schmeichel started shouting at me, I'd be giving it back to him with both barrels, and then you've got madness all over the pitch. I get it that he potentially wants to be an influence from a positive point of view, but for him to do that, it's keep the ball out of the fucking net and kick it to a Celtic player. That's the influence you need to have, mate.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a bad thing. I think we need somebody to take command of the team, and I don't like it's coming for Schmeichel, and I don't like it's coming after a goal. But somebody needs to take control of this team on the park now and again, because our heads went down after that. Same with the middle of the park. I mean, you mentioned Sirachi as well. I thought he had a very, very good game, but he's starting to remind me of Josip Juranovic. You know, there's moments where, you know, he's got the Harry Potter vibes, right? He's magic 1 minute, he's disappeared the next. You know, you don't know where he is. So
I thought he was poor enough today, I have to say.
Thought he was poor?
Yeah, I did. I didn't think he was great, to be honest. And he gives away that penalty. To me, that's a needless challenge. He's rash in the tackle, Liam, and he reminds me of Stefan Mahe. He's one of those players. He's up and at him, and he'll win supporters over with his style, but I think he's just rash in the tackle, and it was no surprise to me that he's conceded a penalty, and you know, at some point I think he's a red card just waiting to happen as well. There's just been too many in the time that he's been with the club. There's just been too many instances that I've seen where he's just diving in and making tackles where he's just got no chance of winning the ball. And that one today, I thought that one today was needless. I mean, the guys had a really poor touch in the box, but Sirachi's just made it really easy for him, and it's an absolute stonewaller whenever that one comes around as well. You know, he has been good, and I think he did deserve, on form, he did deserve to get the jersey ahead of Tierney, but I don't know. I haven't been totally won over by him yet.
First of all, I absolutely loved Stefan Mahe. That's my fullback did to a T. Like, your back line, if you don't have a big psycho Serbian, the best thing you could get is a nasty Uruguayan or somebody with a bit of pedigree of the dark arts. And he ticks all the boxes there for me. You know, my favourite left back all time is Marcelo. You know, when he was with Real Madrid, what a player! Played from left back, didn't play left back. He was all over the place, and he could do everything with a ball. I want to see left backs, do stuff like that. I was hoping Tierney would be marauding doing the wing. That this was going to be our power thing. Is that we were going to overpower things by just dominating doing that wing and overlapping, and we're doing the exact opposite. You know, we're playing triangles when we need to be doing direct lines. Any sort of stuff we had. I thought Sirachi was good early on, where him and Tonecki were playing that ball up the line and having some success with it. You know, they weren't trying to triangle run about them. They were going with just straight direct passes, and that seemed to be working. And then when they needed to tackle, they could tackle as well to defend. So I thought he was good. I mean, I know he skied one into the air. The penalty, but again, I like a bit of nastiness in my back four. We've been needing that for a while. You know.
So they get the penalty. We agreed it's a stonewaller. I was disappointed in the play down the Ralston's area in the build up to it. I think Maida and Ralston are both culpable. The guy just leaves the two of them for dead. Absolutely leaves them for dead, and then cuts it back. And you've absolutely no inclination that Kasper Schmeichel's going to save a penalty. So you're you're fearing the worst at that point, and the guy slams it into the net, and we're 2-1 down. And the only positive at that point for me, Liam, is that you've got plenty of time to try and get back into it again. I think when that goal goes in, there's still about 30, 35, 37, something like that minutes left. And I mean, draws are no good to us, but when you've struggled to score goals like we have, and up until we got the second goal today, a penalty looked like the only real thing that was going to give us an opportunity to score a goal, because we're not capable of creating one. And I was just thinking, I always have confidence, and I always feel that somehow Celtic will find a way to get it done, but I wasn't overly confident, I have to say, just based on the lack of creativity, the lack of spark, the lack of chances, the lack of goals. I'm going, are we definitely going to get a 2 back here? And even if we get 2, are we going to keep them out at the other end? I have to say, I always think we're going to get 1. I always think we'll get the job done, but I would have needed a bit of convincing to just turn around and say at that stage that Celtic would come back and win the game.
Were you surprised that when they took the penalty that it was absolutely lasered into Schmeichel's top right corner? We were
again. I only really got one look at it.
He's going up there, and he did.
I only really got one look at it with the coverage, and I wasn't sure if he'd gone into the corner, if he'd gone down the middle. All I knew was it was in the net, and I wasn't overly confident at that point. So the manager then starts to ring the changes. He could have made any change, to be honest. At that point, for me, and I know he goes on to score the winning goal, and brilliant. He's absolutely made my whole weekend. But I was astonished that Maeda wasn't one of the changes. I really, really was. I thought up until then, he had been awful. Now, he wasn't alone. They were all awful. He could have changed anybody, and you could have made a case for it. But he brings on Negrin for McCowan. No arguments. Engels for Hatate. I'm gonna go out there and say I thought Hatate was one of our better ones. Out of a bad bunch, I thought Hatate was probably the one player who looked as if he could make something happen, along with Tanetke. And he brought both of those off. And I'm just going, right, okay, anybody could have been brought off, but you're 2-1 down. You're in danger of being 4 points behind here. You need to go and create something. The only guy that's looked capable of creating anything for us all season is Tanetke. And Hatate, for me, wasn't having a bad one. And those two get brought off. Now, I think you're disagreeing with me on Hatate. Surely you can't disagree with me on Tanetke. Surely you can't bring Tanetke off when you're needing to go and get 2 goals. And he's the only guy that looks like creating anything.
I thought he looked fantastic. I thought if Hatate had been on his game, Tanetke would have done even better. I thought Hatate was really poor. I'm a guy that's on record of this thing thinking Hatate was going to be next Luka Modric at one point in his first season. I really had high hopes for him, and he's just regressed. Today, there was a bunch of times as well where he just showed not just like lack of vision when he was passing the ball, and then there was a couple of times where he won a ball on a tackle, and then he just left it. Somebody else came in and grabbed it off him. He didn't keep going. He didn't have that drive to just keep going after the ball. Yeah, he looks like he's had a bad day. Something, I don't know. Maybe his ramen was too cold. Who knows what happened to him on the way? But he did not look like a happy Hatate today.
Yeah, the comments seem to be agreeing with you over me. That's fine. Fine. That's fine. We're allowed to disagree. I just thought he was trying to make things happen, but I'm more than happy to be overruled by the comments. That is what you're here for. And with 94 people live, which is superb. Let's just like and share and see if we can get that up over the 100 again. Ali comes in. Hatate's forms fell off a cliff. McLaughlin P. Hatate flew in like a Mary for a tackle in the first 5 minutes. Somebody else there was referring me to Specsaver's Big Rab. There we go. Like I say, the manager could have made any changes. I thought those two were playing okay, and I would always have kept TIC on. But anyway, those are the changes that he made. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. Negrin immediately is involved in the action. There's a cross that, for me, and again, I might need Specsavers again here. I thought Srirache's cross actually went out of play and then seemed to come back in again. It actually hits the post, which when you're watching a game with no commentary and the ball's just buzzing about in the box, you don't really know what's going on. But it falls to Benjamin Negrin and he blazes it over the bar. And you're thinking at that stage, roughly about 25 minutes left, we're in diffs here. He then makes another change, and I'm going, what's changed in the last couple of minutes? Why did you not make this change whenever you made the other changes? But he brings Kieran Tierney on for Srirache. Maybe the sports science guys have said Kieran can only play 24 minutes instead of 27. Who knows nowadays? But anyway, Tierney's then on for Srirache. And Negrin is still getting involved. He has a shot and it's saved. Like I say, he's been pretty hit or miss for me since he came in during the summer. Some good stuff where you think, yeah, you've got a good player there, and other days he's anonymous. But he was involved in stuff today. You've got the opportunity that he had there where he's blazed over. You're wanting him to do better. There was one in the game in Europe, and again, you want him to do better. And then football suicide from Motherwell. There's nothing I love more, either as a Celtic fan or in a match where I'm coaching kids and you see the opposition trying to do this Pep Guardiola tactic of centre-backs and goalkeeper playing a goal kick amongst each other and trying to play out. It's fine for a team at the very top of the game. I understand why they do it, and they've got the players who are capable of doing it. Young kids playing football, it's at a really, really low kids level. It's just ridiculous to watch it, and teams playing against us trying to do it. Every time I see it, I'm just going, we've a chance here. We've got a chance. Now, to be fair to Motherwell, that's the policy that this manager has employed, and they did play through our press quite a few times, but on that occasion they didn't. And see, when it goes wrong, Liam, it is totally embarrassing. It looks dreadful. Again, if you're watching that game, you're going, why on earth are that team trying to do that? I'm fine with it because I expect we'll get goals like that today. But that reminded me of a goal that we would concede in Europe, trying to be too clever against a team that's better than us.
Well, there's nothing clever about it. I mean, that pass from his goal line to a guy that's marked, standing with a guy right beside him, a 6-yard ball straight up the goal line. There's no way any coach is prescribing that that's how we're going to play it for the back. You surely have to go to the sides first if the guy in front of you's got a man on him. You can't look at his players and say, okay, they'll just come back. Like, I notice we try to do that as well. We do this ball up the middle and the guy's running back at full speed, knocking it back to the goal. And Callum McGregor gets caught out all the time. So does CCV. Guys are coming in and they're just trying to overpower them to get to that ball and get a nip and a touch or a nick to it. Yeah, I don't get, so youth teams are actually playing it at the back like that as well. I don't know. Those systems are going to change over time.
I see it with my boys' teams, and see, whenever I help out with an under-17 team, and whenever we see the other team starting to do this, when we get the boys back in at half-time, we just tell them, let them start to do that, and then three attackers just press them all at the same time, and it's virtually impossible for players at a low level to be able to do what the manager's expecting them to do. And I think it's one of these things that's come down, and it started with Guardiola, and so much of modern day football. Started with Guardiola, this whole possession-based thing, and now this craze about playing out from goal kicks. It's just ridiculous. I don't understand it. To me, when you get a goal kick, unless you've got something obvious on, you just get it up to you get it over the half, and you get it into the other side of the pitch, and you take your chances from there. It's a joke. It is a joke.
It's the bollocks that analytics bring to the game, where you start to measure and find value. You see that so many percentage of goals are started this way. So you're going to try and replicate that must be the best way, that we'll drive it into our players, that we'll get more chance of success if we do this one thing. But everybody's doing the same thing. And so that thing evolves into something that's easy to defend as soon as you get familiar with it. When everybody doing all that stuff, it's like somebody like an Ange and stuff that comes in, it just sort of tries to create something a bit different, I think, like right now, I like the way they were cutting us open the middle. I thought they looked really good. They had 2 or 3 boys that had a great understanding with each other and were able to just get that ball to each other, and they were winning it, and they were getting balls in plenty of space. So yeah, I was amazed at how much space. If they had a very good striker, the striker was half decent, but if they had somebody up there that could have ran us, yeah, I think we would have been in trouble.
Big Rab, I'm not having a go at a team that's willing to try and play against us. All I'm critical of is that one move where they're trying to build from a goal kick, and they came up a cropper today. So I'm not having a go that Motherwell's approach was refreshing, and it almost came off for them. But that one particular tactic, I just think is totally pointless, and it's cost them. It's possibly cost them 3 points, because at that point we weren't looking as if we were going to equalise, and if we don't get the equaliser, we don't go on and get the winner for me. So really refreshing the way Motherwell have played, but I don't think that means you have to take kamikaze goal kicks. You can play good football without that crazy manoeuvre. I just don't get it at all. I don't get it. Anyway, Reegan shows a bit of composure, puts the ball in the net. Again, it's very, very strange when you're watching it with no sound, Liam, because the ball's end up in the net, but because you can't hear the commentator screaming, you're going, is that a goal, or has there been a whistle, or is there anything else going on? But anyway, we're 2-2, and for me, you've 22 minutes to go plus stoppage time. You're thinking, right, this is on. We might get out of jail here. I was also expecting there to be quite a bit of stoppage time. I didn't think the referee had a bad game particularly. I didn't think he got anything really obvious wrong, Callum Scott. But what I did think he did wrong was he allowed Motherwell players to get treated on the pitch for non-head knock injuries, and he stopped the game 3-4 times. I counted where players just lay there, and it was obvious there was no head injury, but he allowed the treatment to take place on the pitch, and that stopped the game. It slowed any kind of momentum that we would be trying to build. That's the only hole I can kind of pick. He got all the big ones wrong, but he was allowing the game to be slowed down by Motherwell players getting treated on the park whenever the rule is the game's supposed to play unless it's a head knock. That's the only criticism I would have of him. And I felt that because he allowed that, I felt there was a minimum of 6 minutes to be added on. Turns out that he gave 7, but you're always nervous because you're always sitting there going, even if you do it with a stopwatch and there's 6 and there's 6, you're still expecting it to go up because Celtic are drawn. You're expecting it to go up in, say, 2 minutes or 3 minutes or something like that. But there's one more substitution to be made. The manager brings on Michelangelo Balakwisha for Iheanacho. I think at that point, Iheanacho's ran his race because he's still your best chance of a goal. But I think just given the lack of game time that he's had over the last few years, it's going to be hard to see him play 90 minutes. He might never play 90 minutes for Celtic because, he might only be here for a year. But something just told me there might be a moment here where this guy makes a difference. The first few times he got the ball, I'm thinking, I just want you to go forward with it. Just please don't go backwards. And he went backwards. He tried, pass it back to Tierney, cut back. And we just got, come on, there has to be more to this wee man than what we've seen so far. We're into the 90s. And again, I'm always the optimist, and I always think we're going to get one here. We're definitely going to get one. But just the way things have been, and with everything that's going on around the club, you're hopeful, but you're not expectant. We're kind of playing around the box. I thought James Forrest was quite positive whenever he came on. I thought he was trying to make things happen. He cut back in a few times, but you could see that he was doing everything he could not to cut back and play the easy pass. He wanted to go at his man, but Engels gets the ball on the left-hand side. Ball ends up in with Balagwisha, and you're just hoping for a moment of quality. You're hoping, is this guy's opportunity? And he fires a really good ball across. He genuinely fires a great ball across. And Dyson the ball's about a foot off the ground, but Dyson being Dyson, he decides to go for the header. And I don't know where you were in the bar. I was nearly on top of the mantelpiece whenever the ball went in the net, and my dad was nearly on my shoulders. It was just one of those moments. It was a real roller coaster of a game. So much of it was negative in terms of the performance wasn't good, the vibe was bad. It was all the bad stuff we've seen this season just playing out again in front of you. But you get an injury time winner, and it just leaves you absolutely buzzing. And of course, I'm still sitting there with no sound on the TV, so you're still waiting. Is there a VAR? Is there anything that we haven't seen here? But a really, really good moment. And you don't know when it comes to the end of the season, that could be a key moment.
Mate, I think we frightened the life out of the chef that was doing prep work for the day in the back, because it was just silence. And it's just like, could hear me. What a goal. Yeah, honest. Yeah, you it doesn't matter like what's going on with Rodgers and the board and all that sort of stuff. That moment when you see a diving header in the last couple of minutes of a game and it goes in and it's absolutely brave and it's brilliant. And by the way, Dyson looked like he enjoyed that goal. The goal celebration. I much prefer his goal celebration to Negrin. Negrin annoys me. He's annoying me now. It's too much of that. Just calm down, lad. You got to show more. You did great tucking it away, But Dyson, yeah, he looked like he was hungry for a goal. That meant something to him, and it was a great goal. It was a proper striker's goal, and good on him, and good on everybody for the build-up for the goal. I just want to talk about. I thought the substitutions coming on. Arnie Engels looks like he's lost it. He came on today and he's just regressing. Eh?
Was he lost?
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, you're right. Can't lose what you never had. I don't know. I think just one of these players that was meant to develop at a certain rate because he was in that trajectory, but something's taken a turn, and I think I think we're missing an opportunity to play Bernardo more in that position, because I think there's a player in him as well. And I was really hoping McGregor would have been dropped for Bernardo. I think Bernardo's a good tackler in the middle of the park, and I don't think they would had nearly as much success in the middle if Bernardo was playing.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, Liam. I mean, the guys come in with really, really high levels of expectancy, maybe unrealistic because of the fee. And I still stand by this. I still think if we sold Arnie Engels on the 1st of January 2026, I still think we get our money back, because I think he's held in that high regard. I just think we were expecting a player to come in that was A, but Arnie Engels is B. His game, what we expected him to be, because of the fee, was someone who would just come straight in and boss games. And he's not that player. He's definitely not that player now. He may become that player, but I seen one of the commenters making a point. He is probably a player who would look really, really good in a really, really good team, where he's just getting the ball and he's recycling it and he's got good energy and all that kind of stuff. But we're thinking we've broke our transfer record here. We're expecting a guy to go and get the ball, beat 2 and 3 men every time and stick it in the net, and that's not Arne Engels' game, and it's never going to be his game.
Terry, disagree with you there again.
You're allowed to disagree, mate.
No, and again, I think Engels, I don't know, he's missing something in his game. I think he's a very good player. That's technically, like right now, playing in a really good team. He's playing in a really good team. He's playing with Celtic.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
No, if you look at the comparative of who he's playing against, so put him in Bayern Munich, he's still going to be playing against, good teams and all that.
Yeah, that's who he's playing with.
Playing on a good team that's got all the possession. We've got all the possession mostly. So that is a good team when you're playing in that type of thing. So you'd think he would be better at that.
I just don't think the team that he's playing in is a team that is functioning and firing on all cylinders. I don't know, Liam. There has to be more to Arne Engels than what we've seen. And the only thing that I can think of at this point is it's just not the right fit. It's a square peg in a round hole, and he's not the type of player that we're trying to make him be.
I don't know.
There was a midfield three somebody put up there. I didn't start it. I meant to start it at the time, and you're constantly thinking, what midfield three do you go with? And somebody put a midfield three up, and I suddenly looked at it. Is that it? Yeah, that was a big grab.
What was it? What was the three?
I'd like to see a midfield being Bernardo, Engels, and Negrin for a game, for plenty of legs in there.
I don't know. Pure horror show. That hurt my eyes. I don't know. I thought McCown was lively today, but he sort of faded towards the end. He was very good. I think in the opening part of the game, bit of drive and intensity. That midfield, I don't know. I want to see more Bernardo in the midfield. We've got so many midfielders, but it just seems we've less and less options because McGregor has to play for some reason, and we have to play three. I'd love to see us go with four in the middle. McGregor wants to play up front, play him up front a bit. He's a striker, We're assuming because he's filling in for Scott Brown, it's the exact same carbon copy playbook. It shouldn't be. He's a different type of player. He shouldn't be regressing into that defensive role because we're seeing right now when his legs are starting to go, it's causing us problems. There's holes there, and he's either too deeper or he's too far up the park.
McLaughlin P, you're reminding me of one of my heroes there, Big Paul Elliott. Absolutely love that big guy.
Paul Elliott, what a player he was.
Rolls Royce. Absolute Rolls.
Nice to see him in the
if
flesh.
People think CCV was a good centre back, you got to go and watch. You got to go and watch videos of that guy. Unreal.
What do you think of our centre backs today, then, Terry? Scales and CCV.
I think if I had to pick a best player out of an absolutely bad bunch, I probably thought Scales was the best player today. I thought towards the end he was coming forward and he was trying to make things happen as well. I don't know. I mean, Motherwell have come to Celtic Park and scored 2 goals, so you can't say that it was a good defensive performance. I thought there were mistakes in both fullback areas. I thought Ralston was very, very poor. I don't know. I don't see Trusty. I think he's fit. He's fit to come back in again, but I don't see him getting back into the team. I don't see how you can leave Scales out. I genuinely don't. I think out of them all, and for me, Carter Vickers has become a bit of a bomb scare this season as well. I think Scales is the best bet at the minute.
So how long do you progress with players like CCV? He looks like he's fighting it. You know, it's like is either he's no healed properly, something's wrong, his head's no in it. Who knows? Maybe he's got a new kid, or you never know what players are going through, right? It just doesn't seem to be. He's not that into us, so to speak. You know what I mean? Does he know something we don't? Is he unhappy, or is he just running on poor form right now because maybe he's playing through pain?
This is Carter Vickers, is it?
Aye. What do you think?
I don't know.
You think it's? I don't know. I think he's having a poor run of form. I think maybe it might be nice to give Dane Murray a chance.
I don't know, Liam. I just think the whole team is just really, really struggling at the minute, and it's like when we started doing this post match this year, I was just kind of used to coming on and getting pissed and arguing with Boise, and I didn't have to really think or prep anything. And then whenever we've moved on to the new channel, and Phil has, in his wisdom, given me the keys and asked me to go and sort of host the show and stuff, I've started to try and think, is there wee bits that I can add in here just to put my own spin on it? And I've started to try and go, well, let's pick 3 players who really had an influence today. But see, today I was sitting looking at my phone going, I cannot think of 3 players who played well today. And I just think the whole team is just in a bit of a negative vibe at the minute, and everything every single player does, it's kind of magnified in terms of negativity just because the whole thing's struggling. This whole thing could change very quickly, Liam. I mean, I've seen enough seasons supporting Celtic and watching football. Sometimes just one incident in one match can turn a whole season. And see that late goal today that we got. That could be the moment that could be the flick of the switch that changes this whole season. And some of the guys in the chat are happy. We've got an international break coming up. Probably the best thing for us would be if we had another match in 3 days' time, because the guys will have come off today and they'll have been absolutely buzzing. They'll know they've not played well, but the fact they were able to dig out a result, get a very, very late winner, they'll be buzzing. And I think the best thing for Celtic would be if we had another game on Wednesday night or something like that. But now we've got another one of these 2-week breaks. And I mean, CCV, he's one of the guys we've been able to hang our hats on. And, you know, he doesn't just turn into a bad player overnight, but at the same time, he's starting to show signs of fallibility. But I just think it's because of the negativity that surrounds the whole club at the moment from top to bottom. If you had to pick a Celtic team to play tomorrow and they had to win to save your life, you'd pick Carter Vickers. You wouldn't put Dane Murray in there, as much as you've said. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? If you had to pick an 11 to start to save your life, you're picking Carter Vickers all day long.
Aye, but so then where's the motivation then? Like, what's happening? How are we not getting that prime time saviour arse CCV that we all know and love? Where's he went? It's like, is the team maybe pissed with Rodgers? Maybe that's it as well. But it's, and if it is, it's not unifying them at all. Is there a drift in there? It just seems that this team seems to be unresponsive to an approach to a big game that we have to win. That intensity. You keep talking about, it's one of Rodgers' words, right? What was it you said at the very beginning of the podcast, Terry, when you were quoting Rodgers, that you was wanting to see what?
Intensity. He promised intensity today. Intensity.
I think that's one of those buzzwords that he likes to use, but we don't really see it. And he's always talking about us coming out flying rapid out the gate.
Intensity.
Scored an early goal in ages.
Tenacity. Physicality.
Velocity.
Physicality.
I know.
Mentality.
Yeah. And complacency. That's the one you keep leaving out. You're the one that brought it up, and we're still seeing it. There is a complacency. How that boy Donovan didn't start today, I don't understand. So I think you're right. There's a bad vibe around the place, and everybody's noticed it, and every podcast is talking about it. We can see it with our own eyes, and you can feel it, and no amount of buzzwords and sincere messaging in a press conference is going to change that for any of us. It'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow when they go in to meet the board of directors. I
was going to come to that. I'll just bring up one more point here before we do that. Is there one player missing from the back line that just holds the whole thing together? Is it Alistair Johnson, who the Canadian manager, according to McLaughlin P, has said will be called up for Canada in November? Is he the missing link there? I know you're not totally sold on Alistair Johnson. I think he's got a real enthusiasm when he plays. There's something about Alistair Johnson I just love. I love listening to him when he speaks. He's engaging. He sounds really motivated. He's very articulate. And when he's playing for Celtic, I feel pretty secure in terms of there's a guy on there who's willing to go to the well for you. I know he's not your favourite.
Hey, see when I go into meetings here in Canada and the States and that with a Scottish accent, people think, oh, he really knows what he's talking about because he's got an accent, right? I think Alistair Johnson thing's happening with you guys right now. Oh, he's done really well. He sounds really intelligent. That's like every single hockey player talks like in interviews. They breed it into them for a young age. If you're watching him, that's every single hockey player, Canadian hockey player interview you've ever seen in your life. All the same buzzwords, all the same quotes.
Myself and Russell used to laugh because we both thought he sounded like Tiger Woods. And whenever I heard Tiger Woods speaking, I was just engaged. I just thought whatever he said, whatever Tiger says here, this is gospel. And he sounded a bit like Tiger Woods, and it just totally got me engaged. But I get it. It might just be an accent. It might just be that he speaks well. But there's just something about him that he gives me that reassurance. But again, that might not be the case. But I'll tell you one thing: I'd rather have him in it right back than. And again, I think Donovan's done well. If I had a game tomorrow. If I had a game tomorrow, I'd want Johnson in all day long.
Right. Well, I like Johnson when he's going forward, and I think defensively, when Rangers had a half decent team and they were we were still beating them, but they were giving us a better game somehow. Now they're giving us less of a game and beating us. But Johnson was always on the wrong side of his man. There was guys that could take him for his man. I'm still pissed at him for the game against Bayern Munich. Alphonso Davies and everything about him and what he's capable, and you still managed to let him ghost in behind you and score that last minute. Everybody knows that Davies will be rushing for that ball. And it caught Johnson aware, and I'm thinking, you of all players should have known that. It's interesting to see he's getting called up for the national team in November. So, all right. I mean, I hope he's fully fit. And
I would like to see him back available for us. We're going to touch on tomorrow night's meeting because you've brought it up there, and I think it is. If we're looking ahead over the next 2 weeks, the most important thing from a Celtic perspective is this meeting tomorrow night. The international games take care of themselves. Whatever the players do, as long as they don't get hurt. I'm not really bothered what they do in international duty. Looking ahead to January, that front three of ours that we've now got, albeit it's thrown together, and that's the three that he's going to pick when fit, probably between now and January. We're expecting Dyson to be gone at 1 minute past 12 on New Year's Day. Tanetke could be away to the African nations. For me, it's a bit of a long shot whether Iheanacho will be away or not, but it is possible. That front three could be gone by the 1st of January or whenever the guys leave for the African nations. I know it's a bit far ahead, but it is one just to have a think about. Is it something the Celtic board? I wouldn't give them credit that they've even considered that. They've probably signed these players and haven't even known where they've come from, if you're being honest. But that is probably a problem that could come up in a few months' time. But there's a lot of water to go under the bridge before then.
I don't know. I hope we're tapping up strikers right now around the planet, because that is a scenario.
That's a good point that you've just made there, Liam, because the summer window's just closed, and it was the worst window in a long, long time for us. But to me, you don't wait till the January window opens. The work for the January window is surely being done now. Have you any sort of confidence that we're doing anything to try and be in a strong position come January? You don't just wait for the window to open and then go, all right, the window's open now. What are we going to do? We should be having those conversations now with agents, players, clubs, and having our ducks in a row, ready to go as soon as this damn thing opens. Because there's nothing surer than we need players in as soon as that window opens. A bit like the Postecoglou first window when he came in. That's what we need. We need 4 first-team players to come in on the 1st of January, ready to rock. And I just hope that we're thereabouts at the top of the league, and when that comes round.
So Terry, seeing my imagination, if I was writing this as a film script tomorrow and we're looking for a way out for the board, here's how the board get out of it. I don't know who's all going to this meeting, but I imagine it's a select few that are being vetted and whatever and stuff, and probably signed an NDA.
Well, it's a representative. So you've got the main associations that have now come together as the fans collective. You've got the 400 odd signatories who represent loads of different supporters across social media, clubs, and all that. But then you've got another leadership group, which I've heard is somewhere in and around 20 people. So what I believe will happen tomorrow night is there's going to be about 20 representatives of all of those groups, and there's going to be Michael Nicholson and Chris Mackay.
Right. So the best thing that they could do tomorrow, just pure out a movie, is they sit down and you open up a big book and they show them, or they put it on the screen and they say, these are the players we are after right now. And you make it and so, okay, this is what we're trying for. And you just, this is so, they'll never do it. But if you were looking at it, it's like, okay, how do you get out of this problem? Well, it's transparency. It's the cloak and dagger stuff that have got them into this. And so what it means is that, okay, they go in and they share a vision or a plan, whether it's signing players, here's all the players, that's the Hollywood version, or just showing them a pathway, a critical pathway that's like, okay, here's our plan for the next 5 years. And you know what? This one got away from us and we're going to take full responsibility of that. But here's the plan going forward. And we want you guys to be part of it, whatever. That's how it needs to be structured, and that will get them success. And you can come out. Nobody wants to stay angry at Celtic forever. This is a club that everybody loves. So why would you want to just stay angry with something you love? And so I think you're looking for a resolution. The best way to resolution is remember, we're all on the same side here. We all want the same thing. And you have to make sure you're wanting more about what we want more than what you want for yourself, because that's not the same thing. And so the best thing you can start doing is just show us the plan. And then that'll be great. I hope everybody reports back. We can get rid of this vibe that's going through the club. And then Rodgers can be accountable for where he's got right now and part of that. And we might have to get rid of him as well. I hope we do, because I don't think his vibe is right. He brings a negativity that somehow they both don't thrive on. And again, I'm not saying that the board should just go away. There's going to have to be some heads as well. There's going to be some heads on spikes, But
2.5 hours ago, I was driving him to the airport 2.5 hours ago. I was right at the point. I keep thinking back to the Celtic 0 Hearts 2 game at Celtic Park, and I come on in the post match, and I just said, Terminato, gone. Just get him out of the road. Get him out of the club now. I didn't see a way we could win the league with him in charge, and it turned around. But with 25 minutes to go today, I was thinking, I don't see a way we can win this league with him in charge, and he needs to go. And I'm thinking, do you know what? This board could pull a rabbit out of a hat. And this meeting tomorrow night, the best thing they could tell these people is, we're going to move Brendan on, and this is our plan for the next manager. And this is why we didn't back him this summer, because we're saving all the money up for the new manager next summer. And I'm trying to think, how are they going to come out? How are they going to come out tomorrow? And they're going to go on some kind of charm offensive. They're going to come out and they're going to hope to try and bury this fans collective with one meeting. Now, that's not going to happen. That's definitely not going to happen. But they're going to come out and they're going to think, we have to deliver some kind of message here that's going to nip this thing in the bud straight away. And it won't happen. But, and again, going back to your film directory sort of background, if they made this thing tomorrow night pay-per-view at 50 quid a head, how many tickets do you think they'd sell? Would you pay 50 quid? Would you pay 50 quid to watch this on pay-per-view? I know I would.
Look, mate, I'd go to see that on a podcast. Honestly, it would be a great pay-per-view. I mean, if we could add some sort of gladiatorial aspect to it as well, like really up the numbers, you'll get a lot of the neutrals watching as well.
Get Jerry in there commentating. Get Jerry in there commentating on it.
What was that?
Get Jerry in there commentating on it. Give it an option where you can listen to Jerry or you can watch it in silence.
I think he'd be one of the ones I'd like to throw to the Lions. You know, it does have to be
I'd love to be a fly on the wall, and I know we'll get details that'll come out from the meeting. That'll come out. But I would just love a no holds barred pay-per-view fucking live stream of what's going on tomorrow night.
That would be good, wouldn't it? It would be box office. Well, it could be like King Tut's tomb, though, you know, when they open it and there's no gold there. Where's the 77 million? It's like, jings. I was just not there right now. Dermot's got it.
Jerry's probably nailed it. There'll be absolutely nothing covered. It'll be an absolute damp squib.
But, anyway, no. We're getting gold statues. We're saving it up for the Lisbon Lions anniversary, where we're going to pay season tickets for 67 fans for life and all their family.
Did you see any pictures of the banner? Did you see any pictures of the banner that went up?
So was that right underneath them?
Aye, that was just underneath the director's box.
Who got up there? That was a nifty move, huh?
Uh-huh.
Nimble. That was good.
They've obviously got somebody in that part of the ground who's stepped up and done that.
I mean, they must be worried a bit. I mean, it must have heavy security around them as well, right? Because I don't really know where the board sit. I've sit down behind the goals when I'm back usually.
Oh, they're in the old stand. The old stand that used to be the only seat at bet. They're right in the middle, about halfway up that.
Aye, and I mean, they must hear it for the fans. You know, so I wonder what was the vibe in the stadium. You didn't hear it as well. Was anybody that was at the match? Maybe Phil could jump on, but like, was it really tense and a lot of booing and all that, or was it, you know, and after the final whistle as well, you know, I don't know, the vibe. It was great. I loved the goal and all that, and then you come back and you still think, we still get problems, you know.
In terms of what I could hear coming through was, in the moments where there was the most frustration in terms of what we were seeing on the pitch, you were getting the sack the board singing coming through at that stage. But yeah, it almost felt, it was a wee bit like how I was feeling. Most supporters, they're not really sure what to think. And you're just going through an absolute roller coaster. You're at the game, you're trying to support the team, you're trying to be a positive influence, but you're also looking at the bigger picture. You're seeing the pish that's being produced in front of you. And it just seemed to be a bit scattergun, as in 1 minute you're singing and you're cheering the team on, the next minute you're sacking the board and all of that. But the three players, Liam, that I'm going to just focus on before we close. Very, very difficult, as I say, because I thought we were awful today. But I want this to be the first positive influence moment where Michelangelo Balikwisha has made a difference. He did make a difference. He created the winner. I would love to see this guy kick on. Nothing more than that. And there's every chance it could happen. You know, Taneki came in, he hit the ground running. That doesn't mean he's going to play like that every single game for the next 2-3 years till he gets a move somewhere else. This guy's come in, it's taken him a bit longer. That's fine. He's a different lad. He's, you know, they're all individuals. I want to see him kick on. I want to see him take the confidence from playing a part in that winner today. I want to see him come in and be one of the key players in terms of trying to win this league title and trying to get through to the next round of the Europa League. I know it's only one moment, but we've been quick to judge him in terms of his appearances so far. I am more than happy to take a punt and go, do you know what? He's had a good moment. He's on a high. Let's see what this guy can now do. I've no doubt, Liam, this guy's got more than what we've seen. He has. He definitely has.
Honestly, it just reminds me of bringing up a youth player right now. There's nothing that I've seen that's exceptional that's got me excited yet. You're right, just haven't seen it yet. If it takes some time, okay. If it doesn't take him time, okay, that's another field for scouting. If this guy was really scouted for the length of time that we wanted to see this boy and paying $5 million for him, yeah, we're going to have to start seeing it soon. So whatever he needs to get settled and get a run in this team, get his confidence up. Maybe it's going to be a goal. Maybe it's going to be a really good, you know, maybe it's a contribution to being part of that winning team. He certainly looked very happy celebrating the goal and going up, you know, with other players and all that. So he was certainly involved with the team. So that's always a good sign, you know. And yeah, maybe today spurs him on, but I've not seen enough yet. So
yeah. Player 2, Benjamin Negrin, much maligned, hot and cold. Some great moments, some very poor moments, but I thought he was involved in everything when he came on. It might again be one of those substitute appearances where you come on and you really catch the eye and you're involved in everything. But ultimately, he was there. He was in the moment. It was a great chance. He put it in the net. He still had to do it. I was scratching around for players, but I thought he was involved in everything when he came on. Some good, some bad, but he's there. And then final player, I thought was the worst player on the pitch today. I thought out of we've made 5 substitutions, and I couldn't believe that Dyson Maida was none of those substitutions. I thought he was honking. I thought he stunk the place out. What on earth do I know? Absolutely nothing. Dyson Maida comes up with the magic moment that wins the game. I know nothing about football. Brendan Rodgers knows a lot more than me. Well done, Dyson. Right place, right time, and the key moment of the game. Liam, it's been a pleasure as always. Let's keep our eyes on what happens tomorrow night and see how all of that goes. I'm sure we'll start to get there'll be pods on tomorrow night after, I would imagine, after the meeting and stuff starts to filter out. I mean, I think the comment that was there earlier, I think there'll be very little groundbreaking. There'll probably be very little in terms of information comes out of it. There might be a discussion that happens off the record sort of thing. Guys, phones away. Let's have an open, honest conversation. And that conversation might be there's a new manager coming in and we're saving all the money for him. I don't know. It's going to be interesting times. But Liam, the good news for us is it looked as if we could be coming on here 4 or 5 points behind Hearts. We're not. The gap's 2. We've got a game against them coming up, which is starting to really. It's one of those. It's the one in the diary now that we're looking at, away to Hearts at Tynecastle, potentially an opportunity for them to open up or a chance for us to overtake them at the top of the league. We haven't even touched on Rangers. They haven't come into the conversation once. they're doing their own thing. I've spoken to a few Rangers fans this week, and it's kind of like we're both kind of going, which of us is going to be the least shite this season, and is that going to be enough to get the job done? They've got their own challenges. Let's focus on what Celtic are doing. Let's celebrate a 3 points tonight that I didn't think we were going to get at some points today. Let's hope over the next 2 weeks that none of our players away on international duty get hurt. Let's hope the players that are at Celtic Park and the manager can work together to try and come up with some kind of plan that's going to get us through this next spell. I think it's quite good that we're into October now, and by the time the players come back, it'll be the middle of October, and you've then only got 2 weeks in October, November, and December. And then the window's open again. And I think in terms of this season, we just have to limp through to that window and hope that by the time that opens, we are within decent touch and distance of the top. Like I'm talking, if it's Hearts are at the top, I'm talking 2 points. I can't see Rangers getting anywhere near the top by then. But as long as we're within 2 points at the top when that window opens, then you have to hope beyond hope that we can get this thing sorted and get a level of quality in that gets the job done. Now, I don't think for 1 minute that Hearts, if they're up there, they're not going to do business, because I've talked about this wee guy, Tony Bloom. I've talked about him till I'm blue in the face. He's a winner. He's a gambler. He's a chancer. He's a risk taker. But it's all based on good information. And if he gets to January and he's got a chance, he's going to roll the dice, and we have to be prepared to do that as well. Last word over to you, Liam. What's your overriding feeling as we sign off for 2 weeks of international football?
Yeah, I was surprised. It just creeped up a bit. Yeah, come on, Scotland. Let's see if we can qualify for a World Cup, but no optimistic. Yeah, I need a wee break for Celtic. Oh, everything goes well tomorrow. Hope Mike Nicholson comes out playing the guitar with a Rasta wig, singing Three Little Birds. That's all I want.
Okay, thank you to everyone who has been on with us. Enjoy your 2 weeks of international break, and we will see you back on the bus home when the next game takes place, which will be away to Dundee. Thank you very much. Hail, hail.
Cheers.